Okay, so I'm in my 2003 Subaru Sambar, and we're gonna do a radio swap. So first thing I'm gonna do is I bought a radio removal tool. So I've got these two little pieces here. We've got an outer bezel here, so I'm gonna put it along the top. I'm just gonna reach in and just pop that guy out like that. And then once you get your fingers in there, you can kind of wiggle it out. And it just comes out like that. Okay, so that's the outer bezel. Start with that guy. And then you should have 4 screws on the inside, 2 at the top, and then 2 at the back. Mine's actually missing one on the left, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use a Phillips screwdriver to remove those guys. Careful with that last screw. Okay, so those guys are all out now, so this whole cage should just kind of pull right out. And then we have a single connector here along with the antenna piece. So I'm just gonna loosen that. And then we've got that guy out right like that. So you have your opening, you can just pull the stereo like this. And then, there we go. So we've got the old radio out now. So now what I'll do is actually remove this cage from the radio, and then we can attach that to the new guy. And that's the right plate. It's got an R on it for right. And this is the left plate. It's got an L on it for left. Okay, so we've got that guy out now. There's the old radio. We don't need that anymore. So I'm just gonna put that down out of the way. This is the radio I'm gonna be putting in. This is a Toto. Bought off Amazon with a coupon 200 Canadian. This is a CarPlay and Android Auto capable radio. It's a 7-inch double DIN. So it should fit just nicely in this space right here. Wi-Fi antenna, all the AV cables, microphone for the cell phone. It's got its own mounting bracket plates as well. It does have a little bezel, wiring harness, instruction manual, and then the display itself, which is nice and tight, so it'll give us room for our wiring harness in the back, and that's going to sit right in there just beautifully with the bezel. It's going to look slick. Okay, so I've got the radio here, and then what I did was it's got these plates, and then they're labeled, like I said, with left and right on them. So I put the right side on already, and I've got 3 screws right here that hold it on right there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the left side now. I'm leaving this plastic on just in case I have any sharp stuff near it. I just don't want to scratch the screen, just to protect it a little bit. So I'll go ahead and line these 3 screws up. And I've got just a little Phillips screwdriver here, and I'm going to go ahead and get these guys screwed in. Okay, so now I've got my 2 metal plates lined up and installed on this guy. Now I can take the factory plates and then line them up with the left and right and try to see how we can get this guy to align. So on the left here, we've got it set up that it did slide in originally like that and lined up right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take a look to see where this looks good. And I've got a couple of bolt holes that look pretty good right there. So I will go with those 2. reuse the new screws that it came with. Okay, so now we can just do a quick dry fit. And that looks like it's going to fit just perfect right there. Okay, so now that we've got the bracketing system all figured out, now we can actually work on the wiring. So for my TT2, which is a 2003 Subaru, this is the wiring harness I went with. It is a Metra 708901, and it just looks like this. So what I did now to make it easy, I actually went ahead and hooked up this wiring harness that will attach to the car, and I just marked with a Sharpie which wires are actually being used, so I don't have to solder every single wire. So I'm just going to go ahead and start to solder the ones that I Sharpied, and then we'll get them all taped up and get this thing connected. So there's all my soldered connections now. I'm just going to leave all these. I don't need them, so I'm just going to not touch those. And now I'll just tape these up and then get the harness all put back. Okay, so now I'm just wiring up the reverse camera. And then what I've done is I've got my reverse light right here. So I tied into the power and then the ground with the supplied cables. It's all labeled, so it says to the backup camera and then to ground. Wired them up, and then I'm actually going to hide everything under this heat shield to protect all those wires so that they're good now. The camera, I ran the wire underneath here, and then I actually went through the license plate light, ran it through the back there, and then I've got my camera right here now. So I've got my camera just nicely bolted right there. Okay, now I'm going to just run the wire all the way along into the cab. Okay, so now that I've got it wired up here, I tied in my wire. It comes through here. I zip tied it here, here, came around the outside, zip tied it here, came up through the frame. And then what I did was I just started to tie along this line here. It goes along here, zip tied to here. And then I did a straight shot through over top of the axle. And then I came out right here, the black wire, followed along. There was a purple wire that was here already. I just kind of followed that path. Went along here, and then I did a straight shot underneath the seat. I've already put it back together. I came up under here, wrapped around here, and came out under here. It's right here now. And I came up, back up here, and tied in, and now I just finished soldering it all together. So I've got my new backup camera. I've got it powered to ignition and to ground and to the reverse. So now we'll put it all back together. Okay, now that we've got the wiring harness all soldered up, properly connected, tied into my reverse signal camera wire. So I'm just gonna check this guy back in here. I will take this end with my wiring harness, connect it to the factory harness. Okay, there's the click. I've got everything all soldered together. These wires here I didn't use, so I don't need. I'm not going to touch those. I've tied in my backup camera. I've tied in my power. I don't need this. So now, I took all that back there. This wire is going to tie into, on this radio, it's called RC in, which is rear camera in. I'll connect there. And now, I should be able to tie this factory, or this radio harness is going to click into here. There's the click. Okay, so I just finished wiring up the microphone. I have the wire running down here, all along here, underneath, coming back up through, and then now I have the radio ready to finish up there. So we've got the microphone connected, we've got the reverse camera signal, all my wiring harness is all connected and soldered, everything's all taped up. Lots of room back here for all these wires, so just get them out of the way. And then I've lined this up so it's just flush to the side right there. So I've got my left and my right all laid out. So now I can just kind of carefully lay these wires back here so nothing gets pinched. And then it does recess in just a little bit. Looks good. So now I've just got the screws to put in right here. Okay, so now that's all screwed in. I'm missing a screw, but that's fine. So now I get the bezel, and then this, I put the extra plastic piece around here, and this should just kind of tuck in here. There, nice clean install. So let's check it out. We'll turn it on. We've got power. And there we go. So I can go here and we've got full wireless Android Auto. There we go. All right, thanks for watching.